Hello there, and a very warm welcome to another video from Change Tips and Tools. It's me again, Phil, the Brummie that hails from Birmingham, England. Now, this is very exciting for me because it's my first requested video, which comes from Stuart, who wanted to know how to combine data from multiple sheets into a single table that you can refresh at the click of a button. So how would I do this? Well, let me introduce you to Power Query. So let's look at Power Query and how we can use it to combine data from multiple sheets from different locations into one sheet in Excel and perform some simple data transformation. Now, Power Query comes with a graphical interface within Excel, so no Visual Basic needed or anything too complicated here today. Now, Power Query is an ETL tool created by Microsoft for data extraction, loading and transformation, and it is used to retrieve data from sources and process it and then load them into one or more target systems. Now, in this video I will ensure you understand the specific setup of your source data files to ensure this is repeatable every time in the 3 scenarios I will walk you through today. Now, scenario 1, we will combine multiple tables in a single dynamic table within the same Excel file that refreshes the click of a button. In scenario 2, we will then perform the same exercise but have the consolidated data in a different Excel file to the source data file. And then finally, we will look at combining data within a single Excel file from multiple source files from multiple locations. So let's take a look at the first scenario. And don't worry, we will do this step by step together. Let's do this. So the theme or the running theme for this is that we are going to be looking at our portfolio financials across a number of programs and a number of projects based on a month end. So we've got January, Feb and March, and we have the budgeted spend for that month and then what the actuals were. So what I want to be able to do is combine the information from these monthly actuals into one table in one place. So, and I'm going to use Power Query to do that. There's a couple of things I want to make you aware of. Number one, in this scenario where we are going to consolidate the data in the same file, there are a couple of conditions that I want you to be aware of. So it doesn't matter that the tabs are being named after the month, that's fine, but the data needs to be in a table. I can't overemphasize, I'm a massive fan of Excel tables. So make sure that your data is in an Excel table format and it's been named accordingly. So here, this is January actuals for the portfolio and the table's named January. Same with Feb, we have a table here, it's called Feb. Now, if you don't know how to convert data into a table, then simply just select anywhere in the data and do Control T and just select my table has headers, click OK, and there you go, you've now created a table. The next thing that you need to do, and a good discipline or habit to get into, is give your tables meaningful names so you know what they are when you're referring to them. So if I go to here on the table design tab or ribbon, is I'm going to call this one March, then hit return. So again, very important, make sure that you are working with tables in this scenario. So what we're going to do, first thing we want to do is we want to consolidate all these into a single table. And then what I want to do is make sure it's clear that it's January, February, March and so on. I also want to see the variances based on the budget and the actuals, what was the spend variance as well, and I want to see that. So this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to go to data, get data, and then I'm going to look from other sources here, option, and go down to blank query. This will then take you into the Power Query editor. Don't worry, this is not going to be complicated. I want you to do an equal sign, then to start typing Excel. So the Excel current workbook, select that, do an open bracket, and you should get that, and just hit enter. So what you can now see are our three tables. It's picked them up from the current workbook. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this icon here to combine them all and expand them out. I'm going to take off use original column name as a prefix, so I'm going to untick that, and then I'm going to click OK with those options. And you'll notice that Power Query will record your steps like a macro. So I click OK, and there you go. So I'm now going to call this my budget versus actuals. So I'm going to call the query. Now I'm going to make some changes in here. So number one, you can see based on the table name, it's pulled that through. So I'm just going to select this column and I'm going to move it over to the left, and you like so, and you can now see it's now added a reorder column. I'm then going to look at this column here, and I'm going to change the type to make sure that it's a date column. So with that column selected, I'm going to do the drop down here. I'm going to make it date, so it's now a date. I'm then going to take the budget and actuals column, and I'm going to select the budget column, then hold down the control key and select the actuals column as well. And I'm going to change those to currency, like so. And then the final thing I want to add, if you remember, is I want the actual variance. So I'm going to select actuals first. Then I'm going to hold down the control key and then select budget. And on the add column ribbon, I'm going to select that. And here, I'm going to select the drop down from standard and select subtract. And then I'm just going to rename that column. So right click on the header and do rename, and I'm going to call that variance, like so. And that's it. I've now combined all the tables into one. So if I then go to the home ribbon here within Power Query and do close and load. So I'm going to close and load option. And there you can see now I've got my budget versus actuals, and I've got my table here, and it's got all the data. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select these columns on the home ribbon. I'm just going to turn them into currency, and there you go. Now, if I refresh this data, so if I go to the data ribbon or right click within the table and hit refresh, you'll notice the 61 columns has now gone to 121 columns. So what's it doing? So again, if you can't see this queries and connection editor, so if I just close that down with the X on the data ribbon, queries and connections, it'll bring up this pane on the right hand side. So I'm going to right hand click on this. So right click and do edit. And what you can see, it's actually including the budget versus actuals table as well. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm simply going to filter that out. So I'm going to add another step and do drop down untick budget versus actuals, and then click OK, and then do close and load. And there you go. We've now got the 60 rows of data with all that combined. Now, if we want to add more data so we get the April actuals, look what happens. So here I have April data. So let me right click on that sheet, select move or copy. I'm going to create a copy of it, and I'm going to go to my demo that I've got here, this file, and I'm going to move it to the end and create a copy of that. Boom. And let me just rename that tab to be consistent. And if I go back to my other file, because I don't need it anymore, I can close that down. So now I've got April. So I don't need to do anything else now. All I got to do is just right click on this and hit refresh. And if you now can see more rows have been added, and if I scroll down, you can see April has been added. Now what you'll notice here is because I've not named that table, it's pulled through table 1. So again, if I go to April here, and I literally go to select that table, do table design, and I'll change that to April and hit return, then go back to here and hit refresh. It's now fixed it. So it's really important to name your tables. So that is the first scenario done. Simple, isn't it? Let's look at the next scenario. So let's look at scenario 2. So here I have a blank Excel workbook, and we're going to do exactly the same as scenario 1, except we're going to bring the merged data or the combined data into a different file. So here I'm going to go to data, get data, and this time I'm going to do from an Excel workbook. So I'm going to select that. So there's my Excel file. I'm going to select it and select import. Now what you can see here is that you can see the tables and then the tab names. So select any one of the tables. So I'm going to select January, and then I'm going to hit transform data. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these steps that Excel and Power Query have automatically done here. So I'm going to get rid of change type and get rid of navigation and take it right back to source. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and as you'll see in the Power Query window here, it will start recording the steps as I do them, just like a macro. So the first thing, in kind, I'm going to filter out sheet. So I only want the tables. So I'm going to select table there, click OK. And then I'm going to, I don't want the name, I want the item here. So this column here, I'm going to move to the left, like so. So I've now got item and data. So I'm going to select both of those, and then on remove columns, I'm going to do the drop down and remove other columns. So I'm now left with the item and the table, and as you can see over here, it's recorded those steps. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand these tables to merge them together. So I'm going to click that icon. I'm going to untick original column name as prefix. So I'm going to untick that and then click OK. So I've now got all my data from those different tables. So I'm going to rename this query to budget versus actuals, like I did last time. And again, I'm going to change this column to be a date type. So I'm going to select it, and on the home ribbon, select and make it a date. On the budget and actuals, I'm going to select both of those, and I'm going to change those to currency. I'm then going to select the actuals column first, hold down the control key and select budget, and then on add column, again from a number, I'm going to do standard drop down and select subtract, and then I'm going to rename that. So right click on the header and select rename and change that to variance, like so, and hit return. And this item, where it's got item here, I'm going to rename this column to be month. So right click on it again, do rename and change that to month and hit return. So I've now made all the changes, and again on the home ribbon I'm going to do close and load the drop down and do close and load. And I'm going to change these 3 columns, so highlight them, and on the home ribbon change the format to be currency, like so. Wonderful. So I've now got my data. Now again, in this example I've got 60 rows, so let's open up the source file and let's add the April actuals data as well. So here I have the actuals, April actuals data, month-end data, and if I go to my original file here where I've got the January, February, March, so I want to copy that into this file. So again, I'm going to go to my April data, right click on the tab sheet 1 and do move or copy. I'm going to create a copy, so select that. I'm going to select my source file here, or destination, say move it to the end and click OK, and there it is. So you can see there's the table. It's called April. I'm going to rename this tab to be consistent, so I'm going to call that just to be consistent on the tab names, and that's now done. It's in there. If I then close that down, I don't need this April actuals file, so I'll close that down. Now on this table, if I then hit data, refresh all, or right click on the table and hit refresh, you can see it's added new rows. If I scroll down, there's the April data. It's pulled it in. It's that simple. And again, tables, make sure you use tables. As I say, I can't overemphasize tables, tables, tables. And also with all these scenarios, you've got to make sure that the source tables have all got exactly the same data structure as well, otherwise it won't work. Now let's move on to scenario 3. Now here's scenario 3, where I want to select, so instead of having the tables, all the tables in a single file, now we've now got actuals for January, February, March. So if I open up a folder here, and if you look here, you can see that we've got January, February, March actuals. If I open this up like so, you can see it's a single table, and you've got January, so we've got actuals. So the first thing that I want to, and I can't overemphasize here, is in this scenario where you're pulling from multiple sources, is make sure that the tab that you are referencing is the same. So whether it's called sheet 1, actuals, or whatever, is make sure that as well as your tables being created and named appropriately, is that the sheet tab has exactly the same name all the way through. So every single one in this case has sheet 1 as the same name. Otherwise you won't be able to do this. So that's the first mandate here as far as making this repeatable and consistent, is make sure that your sheet tab is the same on all your files and that you have them in the table format and named appropriately. Okay, so I just want to make that point clear. So I'm in my blank file, so I'm going to go data, get data from file, from folder this time. I'm going to select my first location and click open. Then I'm going to select transform data. And here I'm going to move the name column, which is the name of the file, left here. Then I'm going to highlight name and the content column together, or the binary, which has got all the data in. And again, remove columns, remove other columns. And then I'm going to select the down arrows here to combine the files, like so. Now this is where I was stressing the point that you must name the tabs as the same name. That's the common denominator across all the files. So every tab is called sheet 1. So I'm going to select the tab, not the table, the tab. I'm going to select sheet 1 here and click OK. Right, so I now have my data from the first file location, and you can see it's called monthly actuals location 1. I'm going to keep with that name. I'm going to do close and load drop down, but I'm not going to save it as a table. I'm going to do close and load 2 and save this as a connection only, so only create a connection. I'm going to click OK, like so. So you can now see within my queries and connections window, there's that first query, connection only. And I'm going to let me just save this file as budget versus actuals as I'm doing this, and click save. Now, I'm then going to repeat the same thing for location 2, where my other set of data is. So I'm going to go again on the data ribbon, get data from a file, from a folder. I'm then going to select my location 2, my second location, monthly actuals location 2 here. Click open. Again, I'm going to select transform data. Again, I'm going to move the name to the left like I did before. And again, with the name and the content columns both selected, to remove the columns. So this one's called monthly actuals location 2, and I'm going to again combine those with the down arrows, and I'm going to select sheet 1. Click OK. So there's the data from the second location. So again, monthly actuals location 2, and I'm going to again do close and load drop down and do close and load 2 and save that as a connection only. So only create connection and click OK. So I've now got my 2 connections created over in the queries and connections window. If I hover over one of them here, I'll get this little dialog box come up. I'm going to click edit on the first one. So I've got the first one, location 1, selected. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to append the 2 queries together. So I'm going to, on the home ribbon, append queries. I'm going to do the drop down append as a new query here. And I'm going to select that. Now at the moment we've only got two tables that we're going to connect together or append together, but you can do 3 or more. You can do more than that. So there's the current one that I've got open. I'm then going to select my second one from monthly actuals from location 2 and click OK. So I've now got all those items in the same table, and I'm going to call this, change that append 1 to budget versus actuals. So I'm going to call this query. So now I'm going to do my transformation stuff. I only want to do it once. So first of all, because we don't have the month in here, is I'm going to take this column, and you can see it's automatically recognized it as a date. With that date column selected, month end, I'm going to go to add a column. And then from the date, so from a date or time, I'm going to select month, like so. So I've got the number, and again I'm going to select the date column, and then I'm going to do from the date drop down again, I'm going to take the month, but take the month name like so. And I'm going to rename these. So I'm going to rename this month to, right click on the header, rename to month number like so. And then this column, I'm just going to rename that to purely month. Again, if I move that to the left, take this, move it over to just after January there, like so. And as you can see, it's recording the steps that I'm taking here. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the budget and the actuals column, select them both. On the home ribbon, I'm going to change those both to currency. And again, I'm going to select the actuals column first, hold down the control key, select budget, then add new column. And again, from a number, I'm going to do it from take the standard calculations and select subtract. And then rename that column, right click on header, rename to variance, like so. And there we've got it. We've now got our tab with all those tables combined from different files from 2 different locations. So I'm going to go to the home ribbon, and now I'm going to do close and load, and then close and load this as a table. And there's my budget versus actuals. And then the final thing I'm going to do here is on this table selected on data, select sort, and I'm going to sort it by month number. I'm going to add another level. I'm then going to sort it by program, and then one more level. I'm then going to sort it by project and click OK. So now I've got all of January with all the programs and the associated projects. And then I'm going to highlight these columns here and go to the home ribbon and then change that to a currency. Brilliant. Now, same principle works here as if I then go to the folder, and if I take April actuals and let's add that. So if I copied that, go back to location 1 and let's paste that in there as another file. And if I go back to April location 2, take those actuals, copy them, then go to location 2 and paste that in like so. And then if I go back to my Excel file, and then if I go into data and select refresh all, you'll see these queries will run. And if I scroll down, you can now see April has been added. So there you go, Power Query. It's a fantastic tool. 10 years ago, I would have had to write macros and do so many different complex things and jump through so many hoops to achieve this that you can do in a matter of minutes, and it's repeatable. So Power Query, give it a go. I hope you found that informative, and Stuart, I hope it answered your questions. And if you did like this video, please click the like, subscribe and the notification button for future content. I wish you all a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, and please take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye bye now.